Hello, gorgeouses. Happy Monday. Happy Memorial Day. We are here for the morning show. Good morning. How are you feeling? Welcome to the morning show. I'm your host, Marli Ansel, at Marli Ansel on the Instagrams, and this is the morning show. Today, we're talking about decision versus waiting for direction. This is such an important topic, and I have a juicy, juicy little golden tidbit to share with you that came through for me over the weekend. We were out of town all weekend, so I'm excited to be home per the usual. I always say I only leave the house to go out of the country. I love being home. As any other homebodies, I love being home, but I really love to travel. Like I live to travel. And even a weekend getaway trip is like, I love it. And I always have something so profound that comes through whenever I travel. So say hello as you're jumping on. Good morning. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Monday. We're kicking off a brand new week. So here on the morning show, we're going down to a slimmer schedule. We'll be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this is our first week to kick it off. We're almost in June. Can you guys believe this? Like, what is happening? So we've got a lot going on. Summer is officially here, especially here in the South. And I'm excited because I feel like there's this new initiation energy happening for us. Ever since the beginning of this year, all I have felt is new beginning energy. Good morning, Chris. How are you? I have just felt this like huge momentum around initiating the new, around starting something that maybe you've been being called to start, around taking those actions that maybe you've been holding back taking. So today we're going to talk about decision versus waiting for direction. Such an important topic, especially when we're talking about manifestation and connecting to our soul guidance. How do I know what to do? When do I make the moves? When do I wait? All of these things can come into play, especially when you start stepping out of the box. Now, this is an important way to kick this off because we live, conscious or unconscious, we are all living inside a box of rules that we think we have to follow. Now, I'm going to tell you how this came for me, okay? I was feeling all this big energy, just all this like really big energy, these feelings of like, you guys know the feeling, right? When you're on the precipice of creating something different, of doing something in a bigger way, you get that kind of nervousness, anxiety sort of feeling. Do you know what I'm saying? So I felt this feeling and I was like, hang on a second. What is this? Like, what is it that's actually happening here? So this is something I do all the time. And I think it's such a really beautiful thing for you guys to really take on. When I feel something, I don't go with some arbitrary, vague story that my ego is making up because my ego will just be like, it's bad, it's scary. And if you leave it at that like level there, if you leave it at that like vague story, it will have you just kind of like circling, or you can see it as like pacing in front of the door of the decision you actually want to make rather than actually making the decision. He's like, it's bad, it's scary, it's scary, it's scary, it's wrong in some way, whatever. So I was feeling all these feelings and I was like, what is this? And I had this epiphany moment. This fear feeling is that feeling right before you fully actualize something or becoming the version of you that you actually want to step into. Do you feel me on this? When you're making a decision of some big idea, say you have a big decision to make, say you're moving to an entirely new city. That feeling that like, especially when you're making the decision simply because you want to, because it's what's right for you. Not because you have to, not because you got backed into a corner, not because your job told you to. You're making the decision because you want to make that decision. That comes with a bit of an extra energy, doesn't it? Because as you're making a decision because you want to make it, not because somebody's forced you to make it, not because something told you you have to do this or you should do this or blah, blah, blah. You're doing something simply because you want to do it. There's a whole bigger energy to that. So you're going to have all that chaos of the mind. So I have a client right now who is making a huge move, moving into a brand new city, this her dream city. Like she is making her dream move. And with that can come all of those feelings, especially if you've lived your life in any form of people pleasing. So, people pleasing is a very disempowered feminine energy that we step into. Now, catch this, we step into people pleasing not because we're kind souls. Yes, we are, but that's not why we do it. People pleasing is an armor. People pleasing is a way to protect yourself. So, if you have lived any kind of even a little bit of this energy of people pleasing, when you start making decisions for yourself because you want to, there might be an energy, might be, read, absolutely will be, an energy that comes up that feels like, am I wrong for doing this? Making a decision solely for yourself because you want to make that decision is gonna bring up any of those energies that say, like, who am I to do this? Why am I allowed to am I allowed? Is this okay that I'm doing this? So all of these energies come up when we start taking that authority and sovereignty over our lives. So when we make a big decision like this, you're going to have the chaos of the mind. Amen. You're going to have the chaos of the mind. So what came through for me when I was feeling these feelings was like I just asked myself like what is this? What am I afraid of? Right? Because you feel the feeling of like doing something you've never done before. And then you feel the fear with it. Or maybe it's like you're doing what you've been doing, but you're ready to do it in a much bigger way. You're going to feel that fear. Or maybe it's a huge life decision. Maybe you're deciding to like move in with a partner, get married, take a new job, quit a job, whatever it is. You're going to have these feelings come up. So I paused and I asked myself, like, what is this? And what came through was so simple, but so silly. Let me get my coffee going here. The phrase I heard was, "You're afraid of your own life." So simple, right? Now, here's what I want you to know. We have our conscious mind that is like, like we know what we're doing. We're putting our stuff forward. We're like, I've got this, all of the things that I have done to build myself into who I am. Like, I got it, no problem, blah, blah, blah. That part of you is very, very important. But there is a deeper unconscious part of you that is kind of running the show. Do you know what I mean? Until you can get that deeper part of you on board, integrated with what it is that you've decided you're here to do, you're gonna feel those little feelings. And so I heard this phrase in my head, like, you're afraid of your own life. I was like, wait, what? 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 Like, excuse me, what do you mean? And so what I was getting from it was there was this deep unconscious idea of what a normal life is. And I have done nothing but go outside of that box. Nothing but go outside of that box. There is no part of my life that has ever fallen into the like, this is normal. This is what you do. And so there's that deep rooted survivalism that's in our beings. Our survivalism essentially says fit in with what's around you or die. I mean, at its very baseline. And that program is running through our nervous system, it's running through our psyche. It says fit in with what's around you, or you have the chance of dying. This is that like very deep reptilian brain thing. So what I asked myself then was like, okay, so what's the normal life? And the normal life was like, well, you be a stay-at-home mom and you just, mind your house, take care of the kids, or You go to a job that is, like, not terribly fulfilling because it wouldn't be me doing my thing, running my business, but it's normal. Now, by the way, there's nothing wrong with these things, absolutely not. But if you feel something that pulls you outside of those things, this is a feeling that might come up for you. So I was assessing this and I was like, "Okay, let's walk down the road. Say I do that, normal life, then what?" And I love this question because this will show you your truth every single time. If you conformed to whatever your definition of normal that your brain, your psyche says is safe, instead of calling on your soul, which is going to pull you outside of that box, it's going to have you step outside of your comfort zone. If you just stay within that comfort zone, within that box, within that story, then what? And he always circles back. And then what? And then I would be coming right back to doing what I do now and trying to figure out what else and how to do it. And it would always circle back. Okay. Do you guys get it? So, all of that is set up to say when we're making bigger moves that's outside of what we've been conditioned to be as normal, you're gonna feel a bit of fear. You're gonna feel a bit of anxiety. Now, that can have you start to wait. You guys like my real strong setup for today's topic. It will have you start to wait for direction versus making the decisions that you know you need to make, that you know you want to make in order to fully step into the bigness of whatever it is that you feel that you're called to. So there's a time for waiting, but it's not the time when you're here to make a decision. So what I'm saying is that when you're sitting in that part of you that's like, I'm afraid to do this, that's the moment where you've got to really get in touch with what your truth is. Because if you don't know yourself, and you guys know this is why we talk about this so much on the morning show, if you don't have that grounded knowing in yourself of who you are and what you're here to do, at least some. I mean, we're on a journey here, I understand. Like we're always discovering and uncovering layers of ourselves. But if you don't know who you are and what you're here to do, it will have you swimming in a pool of indecision. And at some point, if you do not consciously get out of that pool of indecision, that waiting for someone or something to tell you what to do, life is going to end up collapsing on you and pushing you to make a decision. This is just how it works. So, over the weekend, I was kind of like, like just thinking about all of these different things. I've got a lot of projects in the works of things that I want to bring to the world. Just feeling those feelings of like, oh my God, like this is big. Am I going to do this for real? Like all of these things. And I caught myself being like, God, you just tell me. You just tell me. What do you want me to do? And I'll do it. Right. That whole like, you just tell me. Now, that is what we kind of see as surrender, typically as a collective. God, you just tell me and then I'll do it. I surrender it, right? It can be a bit of a cop out, okay? It can be a bit of a cop out because what I heard, what I received in that moment was, Marley, you have to decide. You have to decide, what do you want? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? You know what you want to bring to the world. You have to decide. As you decide, then so it will be. And this is the power, this is the sovereignty that we have. We are the sole source of the decision makers for our life. Are we in co creation with God and the universe and the divine? Absolutely 100%. But we are the ones who have the sovereign ability to choose where it's going to go. And so it was this kind of like really cool feeling around. You guys know that there was a reel that was going around of someone talking about like you are the author, you are the director, you are the producer, like you are the creator of your life. You are the one who is deciding how the script goes. So if you sit and you wait, Just think about it in terms of like if a writer is writing their story and they wait, where does the story go? Nowhere. It just stagnates. It just sits there. So you got to decide, where's your story going to go? What story do you want to create in your life? What do you want it to look like? Who do you want to be? How do you want to create this next level that you're stepping into? Do you see what I'm saying? It was like, it was this very profound, like, it's up to you. It's up to you. Now, okay, let's say it's fully clicked in. Got it. I'm deciding. I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I want to step into. I'm feeling my fear, right? Because anytime that we make those full big decisions, that fear is going to come online. We know this. So you're making the decision, you're feeling the fear, and then you're like, okay, but what do I do? What do I do? Because that's another thing that the ego can do. It can start to create this like confusion, like storm in your brain, like, I don't know what to do though. It's like, okay, take a breath for one. Pause, take a breath. You actually do know what to do. I'm going to teach you a trick. And I do this with my kids too. I do, I do this with my clients. I do this with my kids. I have done this with myself. Whenever you hit that point, because, okay, so I want you to think about it like we're getting the whiteboard out. You have your comfort zone, and you're about to enter a bigger zone. By the way, we never get out of the zone. We just enter a bigger zone. So you have your comfort zone and you're about to leave it. This is the point of the shitstorm of like chaos and confusion and fear when you're about to leave it. When you're here, this is the moment where like that big energy comes online and you worry and you're like, but what if it doesn't work? And what if that? And blah, 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 blah. That's where you are right here. When you make the decision, you go like, whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm thinking about my client right now who's making this huge move. Whatever, I don't care. I want it. I'll figure it out. When you do that, all of that chaos disappears and you make your way outside here. Once you do that, there's going to be this feeling of like, now what? Like, what do I do? And at that point, you might have a panic moment because you're like, oh my God, I just made this huge decision. And like, I don't know what I'm doing. And what do I do? And blah, 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 blah. Who can relate? How many times have you been there? Right. We're just not conscious about these patterns that we do. Humans are so cyclical in how we behave. Once you start paying attention to your patterns, then you know how to navigate them. So you make the big decision in the marketing world or the sales world, they call it buyer's remorse. Like whether you buy something or not is kind of irrelevant. It's like once you make the decision, you immediately have a panic moment. It's just how it goes. You're like, what did I just do? Oh my God, was that the right decision? What if that wasn't the right decision? You're like, oh my God, right? You have that moment. And then you're like, okay, I've made the decision, but like, what do I do? And that because the emotion rises, so when our emotional energy rises, our cognitive thinking goes offline. You got to know this. You got to know this because anytime that you have a huge emotional reaction, whether it's fear or anger or sadness or whatever, even joy, our cognitive thinking kind of taps out. So in that moment, there's no logic to be done there. You know what I mean? There's no like, okay, what do I do now? What you got to do is take a breath. You got to take a breath because when you take the breath, it calms the emotions. And so now here's the thing that I do, and I've done it with my kids, I do it with my clients, I've done it for years. It works every time. If you're like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do. Okay, breathe. If you did know what to do, then what would you do? You can laugh all day long, but that question works. If you did know what to do, then what would you do? Now, at that point, you got to trust what comes through. This is the direction. Do you feel me on this? There is the decision for what you're going to do, like your life is going to be. You are deciding the script, you're deciding the story. You're like, you know what? I'm done with whatever. I am creating this. This is what I'm moving towards. This is who I'm going to become, which, by the way, involves no one but you. And that's a really, really huge thing to like take on and remember. Involves no one but you. This is what I'm going to do. Decision. All universal forces align when you make a decision. And then once you move into that full body decision, you have your panic moment. Go ahead, do it. It's fine. Take a breath. Okay. Okay, but if I did know exactly what I was doing, then what would I do? And immediately you're going to receive what to do. And that is your direction. Do you guys follow? Once you make a decision, you got to make a decision because when you're in the gray area, nothing can align with you. Think about it like this. Like, think about the universe, divine, all of this is a yes system. It's just a yes system. Whatever you make a decision about, everything says yes to, including your gray area. So, indecision, sure, yes, we will do nothing. Like soul team, divine, universal forces, you are supported in your indecision. Nothing will happen. But the moment you make a decision, yes, we support you in that. Mountains are moved in your favor once you make a decision about where you're going to go. But you got to stop hesitating. You got to stop second guessing. You got to stop questioning yourself. Like, I mean, we're going to do it because we're human, but you got to know that that's just part of something you're going to feel and it's not a real thing. You got to make that decision. You got to go all in. So once you make the decision, you have your scary panic moment. I can't believe I just made that decision. Then you go, okay. But if I knew exactly what I was doing, then what would I do? And you will receive exactly what to do. Something will come to your brain immediately. And it will not be like something that you've come up with, because this is how that co creation process works with our soul guidance, with our direction. So as we do that, what we're really doing, which is the coolest part, and this is the foundational core of what I teach you guys in the spiritual coach training program. As you make those decisions and then you say, okay, if I did know exactly what I was doing, then what would I do? You are then taking action as an embodied expert in knowing exactly what to do. You are morphing your identity. You are morphing your definition in your subconscious, your definition of who you believe you are as you ask yourself that question and then you follow through on it. You're creating confidence, you're creating power, you're creating trust with yourself. You are literally morphing who you be at a cellular level. Neurons are firing differently. You're shifting the energy in your solar plexus, which is the core of who you believe you are. There's your identity, is right in there. As you say, if I did know exactly what I was doing, then what would I do? And then you follow through on it. It's this huge morphing of energy. And then not only that, you've made the decision about where you want to go. So all universal forces are aligning with you anyway. And now you're leading the charge by saying, if I did know exactly what I wanted to do or exactly what to do, then what would it be? And now you're following guidance. This is co creation. Do we feel it? You can live your whole life like this and watch it morph into magic and miracles. Like, this is the formula. We complicate things left and right, but this is the formula. So give it a go. Give it a go for your day. Try it with little stuff. Try it with little stuff. It doesn't have to always be some major decision. Try it with little stuff. I don't really know what to do about this. I don't know what to do about this problem. If you're in a corporate job, maybe like you are running your department and you're facing this like big problem or whatever you're facing, and you're like, "Oh, I just really don't know what to do with this." Blah, blah, blah. Pause, take a breath. If I did know what to do, then what would I do? You're going to receive something almost immediately. Follow it. See what happens. Okay. Go live your best life. All right. So we're here for Memorial Day. We're going to be back Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday here on the morning show. This is your show to come and get all of the self, personal empowerment, development, spiritual teaching so that we can live our best lives, step into our calling, become our higher selves, all of that stuff. And if you want to come deeper into my world, I have a whole array of programs and courses and master classes, everything from tapping into your life purpose, your life path, to having a beautiful relationship inside your partnership, to personal healing and spiritual growth. We do it all because we are the source of our entire existence here. So, if you want to come deeper into my world, I have quite a few programs and courses that you can tap into depending on where you're at. You can just send me a message and I can direct you in the right way. Or if you're wanting to come in and work with me privately, what I have available right now is a private coaching intensive. It's a 1 month intensive with me. It'll come with 4 1-hour calls, and then we have our Voxer support in between. That is to go really, really deep, really, really fast, a really potent container. So if you are interested in that, you can come and send me a message. And we'll be back here Wednesday. If the show resonated with you today, please share the show. And if you go and you apply what you learn in here, please send me a message or share the show and tag me with your big aha. I love, love, love reading what you guys get out of these teachings. It just gives my heart so much joy. All right, loves, enjoy your Memorial Day. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I'll see you back here Wednesday for another episode of the morning show. And I hope you have the most incredible day. Goodbye, my loves. Oh, goodbye.